Well, for some perspective on today's vote in Parliament, let's bring in Quentin Peel, an Associate Fellow at the international think tank Chatham House in London, and our Brussels correspondent, Georg Mattes. Good morning to you both. Let's start with you, Quentin. Is it really a foregone conclusion that Parliament will reject Theresa May's Brexit deal today?
I would be absolutely amazed if she saved the day. As the Financial Times says this morning, they've given up even pretending that they might win in Downing Street. So I think she's just heading for a brick wall. And the only question is, what on earth does she do next? I mean, in all normal circumstances, she'd resign. But she's not going to, I think, because this is not normal. So the second thing is, well, the opposition should table a motion of no confidence and demand a general election. That they may do, but I'm not sure quite how quickly. So really everything is, what on earth is going to happen next? Because this deal looks likely to go down in flames.
OK, so there are big political consequences at stake here for Theresa May herself. But what about the deal itself? If the deal is rejected, what is May's plan B for Brexit?
You know, she hasn't apparently even discussed it with her cabinet. All but her very closest advisors don't seem to have the slightest idea. Does she even have a plan B? I think the most likely, knowing the woman, is that she'll say, right, well, I will have another go. I'll get on the plane to Brussels. I'll fly over there and see if I can get any more concessions that might win round the rebels in my own party, because that's what's destroying her. It's the fact that she hasn't got support inside her own party. She's got at least 100 of her own members who are going to vote against her. So I think the most likely is she'll just struggle on.
Georg, in Brussels, we call it Theresa May's deal, but of course it's Brussels' deal too. Does the European Union have a plan B?
Well, officially there is no plan B, but believe you me, the European Union will very closely watch the outcome of this vote. If it's a crashing defeat, and it very much looks like it, it makes not much sense to deliver further concessions or the possibility of further concessions to that deal. And then the EU will have to start preparing for a no-deal Brexit. And basically that means Plan C will come into action. The European Union has a number of contingency plans, measures, unilateral measures, that is, to prepare for this regarding citizen rights, for instance, or aviation. But it doesn't even come close to the controlled Brexit many Brexiteers dream of. So it will be a terrible scenario for the European Union, a hard Brexit. It's a lose-lose scenario, and it is exactly what Brussels has tried to prevent in the past 2 years.
Well, let's talk about this scenario, an uncontrolled, hard Brexit, as they say. I want to ask both of you, who really has most to lose from that option, a hard Brexit, the EU or Britain? Georg, you first.
Look, Terry, I've covered dozens of stories on Brexit by now, and I haven't come across a single field where I would say the UK is the clear winner. If you look at maybe fishing rights would be an exception, where really France and the Netherlands stand to lose substantial fishing territory in the Channel. But apart from that, if you look at the City of London, they'll lose the passporting rights, clearance rights. It'll be economically a catastrophe. For trade, it's bad. For security, it's bad. For aviation, it's bad. For the environment, it's bad. So it is really the lose-lose scenario that Brussels has always talked about.
Quentin, what about Britain? Hard Brexit? How bad?
A nightmare, I think. I think the only people who might possibly win will be the hedge funds who are shorting sterling and expecting it to crash. The country is not prepared for it. They reckon that 80% of small businesses had not even begun to prepare before Christmas. So if they're really getting on with it, then it'll only be they're starting just now. And I think that that's the reason why there is actually a very clear majority in Parliament that says this is simply impossible. We cannot allow the government to play chicken on this and threaten no Brexit. But there are a substantial number of pro-Brexit members of Parliament and members of the public who seem to think that no deal would be absolutely fine. Take us back to Dunkirk. That's where we'll get it all together again.
Quentin Peel from Chatham House in London and DW's Georg Mattis in Brussels. Thank you very much to you both.